Good evening, Melrosians, the world over. I am Tom Shampoo.
I'm Sam Hammer.
And I'm Jen LeClaire.
And this is Let's Talk Melrose. Melrose, a show where Melrosians talk to Melrosians about our beloved city, Melrose. Welcome. Hey, everybody. I was off last week. I was not feeling great.
It's going around. The illnesses are going around the Toms because
Tom is, and so we're down to Tom tonight.
Not feeling well tonight, so we're glad you're better.
Right.
We hope he feels better soon.
Yeah.
This is a great time to be talking about Melrose because Melrose was never better in some ways than it was this weekend for Home for the Holidays. So I'm curious what you guys did. I know where some of you were, but I did as much Home for the Holidays stuff as I could possibly absorb, and I know there's sort of still more to come. There's still more great things happening in the weeks coming, but got my Christmas tree from the band, and also I know other Melrosians got their trees from the band or from St. Mary's.
Yeah.
There was shopping, there was arts, there was music, there was Santa.
And Mrs.
Santa
Claus
was all over, and Mrs. Claus. Santa was all over Melrose.
That guy gets around.
That guy was everywhere this weekend in Melrose, really checking up on us. And I have to say, one of the so we didn't get our Christmas tree until we usually get it Friday night.
Yeah.
So I was ready. I had a plan. I was ready to go down there Friday night and throw some elbows and knock you guys out of the way because I know it's really busy on Friday nights. And I completely got derailed, but for a great reason, because we ended up at Rising Eagle and the entire neighborhood was there. Our entire neighborhood was there, and like half the town. And it was everything you want from a Melrose restaurant, pub kind of experience. The fireplace was going. Everyone was hanging out. I beelined out the front door when I heard the Melrose Band drum line coming by and marching Santa Claus on the fire truck past down the street. So I got to run out and see that and then go back in and hang out with my friends. And Joe Turner, the owner, was there. And I said, this is, I chatted with him for a second. And I said, this is really amazing. This is like everything I want for my sort of dining experience right now. And he said, I'm having a great time watching you and all your friends.
We did. So I was at a work party in town in Boston Friday night. I came back home to Melrose around 8:00, and then I met you all down there at Rising Eagle. And I agree. I walked in, like 3 tables were taken over by people in different areas, and it was kind of
place. Fun. Yeah, the whole place was such a great vibe.
Yeah.
And then I want to hear what you guys did, and then we have a picture of the trolley tours.
I know what you did on Saturday, Jen.
The trolley tours were amazing.
Sam,
so I did not make it Friday night because I was in recovery from Lincoln's resurrection of our winter shop. I worked my tush off all day and tried my darndest to stay up till 8 p.m. to then pass out.
To make out.
It was hard. It was really hard. And then Saturday, woke up bright and early to open that building again at the Lincoln School and again, resurrect our Home for the Holidays.
Yeah.
We had an amazing team of PTO parents. Rilda Kissel took the lead. Julie Unger was there. Thank goodness, formerly of the Farmers Market, now on the board, helped put our craft fair back together. Mm-hmm. We were selling wreaths. I was at the Lincoln merch table. We had food trucks, and it just, I saw Dave Martin twice. He came back for the crepes.
both Martins were out. Oh, there he is. Look at it with his Lincoln merch. He was very excited to buy the Lincoln merch.
He was happy about the hat. He was very
happy about that hat.
Very pleased.
We were both out shopping, so we're gonna have to compare notes. There may be a lot of the same merch, but I was able to hit. So yeah, there were crepes at Lincoln School, and then Kindred Crepes, a new company in Melrose, was outside.
Yeah.
I did holiday shopping at the Lincoln School, at the Worklery, at the Knights of Columbus. And I missed, there was still so much I wanted to hit until I was called for duty on the trolley. But,
and we're holding off on the photograph.
I know.
Experience.
There was a market at some of the churches, and the UU Church also. There's still shopping to be had if you missed it at Follow Your Art, at the BB Estate in the coming weeks. So check it out at the BB Estate, at Follow Your Art, at West Foster Artists Collaborative, and others. So there's still some great stuff.
Yeah, sure, for sure. The whole season. I didn't get my treat till Saturday morning. I went to the high school for the band sale, and I was not expecting to get a lot of options. I saw the Dugans there. Of course, they're there as early as it opens, and Jess Dugan kind of showed me some areas where there were still trees, and I found a beautiful tree for our house.
Yeah.
Saturday morning. I know Tom Catalini said he was there like Friday night at 5:01, and there was a big line of folks to get in for trees and jostling and all that. But it sounds like it was a good year, a very successful year. So congrats to all those folks. And I also want to just quickly mention, because we had Stephanie Nelson on a couple of weeks ago, I guess.
Last week.
Last week, yeah, I was going to say last week. And because I wasn't on the show, that's why. It wasn't me. So, but really, just a huge shout out to Stephanie Nelson and all the folks that she works with to get that put together. It is a great event.
Oh, it's fabulous.
And it's all over the city. Like, it activates so many parts of the city, and the trolleys keep it alive, and it's fun. It's nice. So
yeah. And how do you get around?
I think you hop on your nearest trolley with the best trolley host in town. Look at that. Right now, Tom Catalini would be doing the air horn for us.
I think Tom was just like worn out from home for the holidays. So that's Tom and I. We were hosting one of the trolleys on Trolley Route B. I was filling in for the irreplaceable Bill Butler from Leading Edge Real Estate, but I held my own. Tom told the jokes and I gave the information. So not unlike the show. Tom was not at all concerned about the trolley stops or facts. Yeah, so we divided and conquered pretty well. And shout out to trolley driver Roger, who was just a hoot and
good for him.
Super cool and super fun. Oh my God, it was so much fun. It's so much fun.
So we didn't really officially kick off the news, so let's do that quickly, and we'll get to. Oh, sorry. Did you want to add?
Go ahead. This can be part of the news. Go ahead.
Okay.
So it was home for the holidays this weekend, and not all was well in our home of Melrose, and it's like especially egregious that this happened during this amazing welcoming weekend. But our city councilor, friend, neighbor, representative Maya Jamaluddin and her family were accosted verbally and physically at a downtown gas station on this past Saturday. And it was a really ugly incident that was centered around their dress and religion. And, I'm not sure how it started, but it clearly was antagonistic and just awful to watch. And so our condolences and our support. There's no place for this sort of thing in our community. Maya is a friend, a neighbor. She represents us. She's done incredible work in the city. Her family is amazing.
She's giving back to the community.
Oh my God!
Every day.
Yeah. This is so to Maya and her family. We are behind you, all of us. This is your home, your community. We are your friends and neighbors, and we are 1,000% behind you. Well, Sam, maybe you want to tell the tell the rest of kind of what's happening next. But there's some updates on.
Yes. So Maya is and her family is like my family, adopted. So it was pretty upsetting to see some of the footage that was taken. Nobody deserves that kind of hatred, but especially this family who's done nothing but give love and respect to me and our community. It was really hard to watch and to rest that night, but it was the best of Melrose and the worst of our society all in one day. And I'm sad for her and her family, and I'm sad for where we are still in this country. So there is a group that is doing Melrose Police is investigating. People are staying focused on this, and it's not okay. It's beyond not okay. It's deplorable. So,
right. The Council on there's a group called the Council on American Islamic Relations that are also investigating the incident, and I really hope that something comes of it. I hope like a decisive kind of statement or consequence results from this, because
So, yep. We love you, Jamaluddin.
We do.
So.
We do.
Yep.
So also I didn't make it to the ribbon cutting for the Loop, but we were there the week before, Jen, and it's pretty cool.
That's really
on
cool.
Tremont Street. So I think it's kind of like across from Randy's Car Wash. 3 Melrose women-owned businesses collaborating in one location. So there's a bike repair, a tool and other home things, lending library. I think you can also maybe do guitars or ukuleles, and toy lending, the toilery.
What is it?
I think it's the
we have the worklery, the toilery.
The worklery, exactly, right.
I'll put a link into the actual thing. But it's so cool, and kids were all over the place and playing when we went. So congratulations, and ribbon is cut, and it was kind of a cool place to just hang out. It was where Fit Life used to be, Tom, back in the day.
Back in the day. We missed back in the day.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool spot to hang out. Then there were people. There's like a counter and bar stools, and the kids are playing in the toy section. You can sit there and hang out. Your kids can play while you're getting bikes repaired or looking for whatever tools or ukuleles you may need. You never know when you're going to need a ukulele, and if I do, now I know where to find one.
That's
Perfect.
right.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's a sustainable. It's more of kind of Melrose. Reduce, reuse, repurpose, recycle. That the idea of sustainable business and the kind of giving and borrowing and reusing community. Crowdsourced community type of businesses. So I really love that. This might be a good time. This isn't in the doc, but this might be a good time to point out too. I saw this the other day. Zero Waste Melrose also put out their holiday giving guide. Oh. Was I doing that? Their holiday. I'm trying to hide all my chins. Their holiday giving guide of like sustainable gift ideas and it's all like local shopping and things like that. That was on
cool.
Facebook. So
I didn't know.
Excellent.
Right.
And then speaking of toys and things, and Melrose Together is back. We have partnered with Housing Families again, and this December they have asked for us to help collect gift cards and gifts and things that their families need. And so I'll put the link for that to sign up. And also shout out to Santa Fe Burrito and our friend Roberto over there because Ricardo, sorry. Because we when we go, usually we're outside of the temple and people drive by and they drop off bags. But this time we're like, why don't we sit inside somewhere and enjoy?
Warm.
Yeah.
Make them come to us.
May or may not have afternoon margaritas.
Right. So we will be inside there doing that. And if you come in and drop off your donation, you can also receive $20% off of your tab. So
that's great.
It's amazing. So head on down.
Yeah.
And come have lunch and
Right.
margaritas with us.
Early dinner. It's
Early
four,
dinner
4 to
while we're-
6
while-
next
while we're-
Thursday,
yeah.
next Tuesday.
while we're collecting toys.
And what else is happening during the holiday season, Sam?
Oh goodness. All
Other
right.
things?
Yes, there's a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put a list in there. So small works. So
I see
Jen
small
mentioned.
bills
Yep.
for you at the
Yeah. Follow Your
Follow Your
Art. Youth Artist Market, December 10th at Follow Your Art. Tomorrow is a half day for schools. Head down to for a Mary Livermore pop-up museum at Lila Rose from our own Love Florence Lee, who's putting this together. It's going to be awesome. Holiday Pops, December 9 and 10. Buckaloo's
with the Melrose Symphony. Important.
Yep.
Oh, what did I? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I should not be reading or speaking anymore today. So Buckaloo's postponed the red truck photos because of the weather last Saturday. So it's going to be this Saturday. Jen's excited about the artisanal ladies at the BB Estate. On Sunday.
That's December 10th and 17th.
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm.
This Sunday, 11 to 3, the holiday farmers market will be at Memorial Hall. So that should be pretty fun, and so on. And then karaoke every Wednesday, open mic on Thursdays. And I think I didn't see it on here, but there's a Melrose comedy night.
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Yeah,
December
night,
10th
Melrose
coming up.
Comedy. Yep.
And,
Yep.
and on December 18th, we have the Beethoven Society at the Highlands Church is playing a concert.
If you make it to the comedy night, you might see some familiar faces.
Some potential LTMM
Yeah.
hosts.
And last quick shout out too is it's later. It's a little bit later in the month, but December 17th and 18th, there's also a group, a collective, a group called the West Foster Artisans Collaborative. It's a lot of your favorite visual artists in Melrose that get together and show their work on West Foster Street. So
Cool.
But you can find out all of these things from the Melrose Creative Alliance newsletter. Sam will put the link.
Post that up. That's
for
right.
that. Yep.
Sign up for that.
You
I get
can
that.
sign
Sign up for that. It's
Yeah,
great,
you
great
can sign up
newsletter.
and
Really.
it will be delivered right
Yeah.
to your inbox. Okay.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot.
That was a lot.
Yeah. You have to rewind to catch all that, I think.
But now we move on to our
Yes.
guest. We have a guest. Sam, you please introduce our guest.
Yep. So without further ado, our friend Mary Sparks, who is with Melrose's SEPAC. So come on out. Oh.
Hey there.
Wow, we
Mary
changed the
Sparks.
walk-up music.
We changed the walk-up. Tom's not here, and the kids get to play.
Well, Mary is you're super smooth. So thank you for coming
Yeah.
on, Mary. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to have more than 3 minutes. That's where I usually opine.
Is that your public comment? Yes. So, well, you can have all the public comment time you want.
Yeah,
It's your forum. So you are one of the new, you're still the board co-chair of the Melrose SEPAC. So we had Sheila on a few years ago maybe, but can you remind us what this is and what the organization does?
So SEPAC is the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. Parent advisory councils are actually state mandated advisory groups under special education law, and every district has to have one. Our purpose is twofold. First, our role is to serve as a resource for parents and caregivers to make sure they understand their students' rights under IDEA law. And second is to work with members of the school community to identify areas of need and then to advise administrators and school committee around the best ways to address those areas of need. So I'm one of the co-chairs. There's two of us. Amanda Cormier is my co-chair this year. This is my first time kind of being the more senior of the two co-chairs. So I served first as a vice chair with Sheila and then as her co-chair. So this is actually my 5th year doing that.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So what are you focused on right now? Like what are your concerns? What are you guys focused on right now?
So I think right now we feel like we're maybe in a little bit of purgatory and we're trying to move that needle forward. Obviously there's a lot of change happening and I think it's an opportunity to maybe right some wrongs that we've missed opportunities over the past few years, especially during the pandemic period, to kind of strengthen our schools. So obviously teacher contracts and staffing issues are at the very top of the list.
Right. And we talked this morning, and I've seen you on TV as well during your public comment. But can you tell us, you were just at school committee, was it last week? Can you tell us what you talked about then?
Sure. So I believe last week I was kind of coming off of Parent University, and I had attended the mayor's budget presentation. And I kind of left that presentation feeling a little bit frustrated and not having all my questions answered. I also sort of felt like what I heard him say, and I don't disagree with him, is that we need another override. And I know many of you and myself, we were all very much involved in passing the last override, which was a huge lift. It takes a lot of time. And I worry that will take far too long to kind of help with the immediate problems that we're facing right now. I think the special education community has been incredibly patient, letting a new administration kind of find their footing. And I think we were hoping to be in a much different place by now. I don't think parents have the bandwidth to wait another 2 years for an override to pass. They need help right now.
Yeah. And I've also been in citywide PTO meetings with you, where you've also advocated for the staff shortage in all of our schools.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've all heard it, right? It's a national crisis. There's a huge teacher shortage. I think that it's important to remind people that it's particularly bad in special education for whatever reason. But I feel like we are also facing a few more struggles in some of our neighboring communities within special education in this community. We've had a lot of recent turnover. Our caseloads are particularly high. And, that the bench is not very deep. So when somebody's out sick, on maternity leave, things just kind of fall apart. And, as those missed opportunities to provide services to kids kind of pile up, it gets harder and harder to catch them up. And then it makes the burden even bigger on the special educators. And when the special ed teachers aren't able to fill needs outside the classroom, those kids go back into the general education setting. They're disruptive. They need more help from the classroom teacher. It just becomes a domino effect.
So you said that you've been involved for about 5 years now, right?
Yes.
Do you feel like things have been larger challenge across the board just recently in the last year or two because of COVID? Or do you feel like this has been longer, kind of a challenge that's been around for many years that we just haven't been able to solve appropriately?
I definitely think things have gotten worse since COVID. It was so disruptive to learning. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a teacher that didn't agree with that. But I think that there's been some other challenges. I mean, here in Melrose, we not only faced COVID like the rest of the world, but we also are experiencing a brand new superintendent and a lot of administrative turnover and staffing turnover at the same time. And I think the combination of those two things have been incredibly difficult for the entire school community, not just special ed.
Yeah.
Right. So last Friday, December 2nd, was Special Educator Appreciation Day. And I appreciate SEPAC for helping our schools support and thank our special educators. So I'm just going to put that note up here. But another thing that I think SEPAC has been extremely helpful with for parents who are just trying to keep up, thank you, is you help us understand what we should be asking for and what we need to be focusing on. And so I know we had talked about the teacher contract quite a bit and staffing shortages, and thank you for that. But we heard a lot during since September 27th, give or take, about this overspend of $2.2 million in our last budget. And some of that having to do with the rising costs of special education services for in-district and out-of-district placement and transportation. Can you talk a little bit more and dive a little bit deeper into what those are and what you're anticipating for the future as we move forward to the next budget cycle?
Sure. So I think it might be helpful if I just give it a little bit of context at, a kind of a high level perspective. So one of the biggest things that I've learned since I've been involved in SEPAC is that special ed is really not a special interest group. It's a critical component of healthy, thriving schools. And it's also a great indicator of how well or not well a school is functioning. So if a system is able to effectively care for their most marginalized students, then it's a pretty safe bet they're meeting the needs of all their students. And the inverse is also true, right? So if a school isn't taking care of their most marginalized students, then the kids in the general ed setting probably aren't having their needs met either. So it's really a symbiotic relationship. I think when you start to see indicators like out of district placements going up, that's when we should start to worry, right? If you go on DESE and you look at what are out of district placements each year, DESE asks for a particular date and time, and they always capture the same day. So they always want to know, what do our out of district placements look like on October 1st? That number has been steadily going up every year since I've been involved, starting in 2017. In 2017, we were around 37 out of district placements. I think we are now well over 60. And what doesn't get captured in that data is all the people I know who I talk to, in passing on a regular basis, who are quietly kind of organizing their stuff. And they're like, I've had it. My kid is struggling too much. Their future is at stake. We have to do something drastic. We're going to pursue out of district options. And it's not something that people, do impulsively. It's kind of like a breaking point that they get to when they get to that spot. It's really disruptive for their kids. It means taking them away from their home community, their friends. It's really a last resort for a lot of students anyways. And, in an ideal world, you can maybe go out and come back in after some of your lagging skills have been filled or remediated. But we're not seeing people want to come back in right now. I mean, some have, but, there are a lot of people who have gone out since the pandemic started, and for really great reasons. I mean, they had no choice. It's, not through any fault of their own. I think the other problem with special ed cost is that the tuition at these out of district schools is going up astronomically. So I think you've all heard a few data points around MAPS, the kind of organization that oversees the out of district schools, has approved a 14% tuition hike for next year. So those costs will get passed back to districts. And there's a reason that those schools have a tuition increase, right? Like their costs are going up. It costs money to take care of these kids. And it would be best for all the kids if we could just take care of them here in our district. But we don't have the resources to do that. So, we can either make the investments and build the programming in the community to keep kids in district, but we have to do it with fidelity. We can't just say we're doing it, right? Because I think that's also a big sticking point for families. But if we did that, I think it would save money in the long term. If we don't do it, we're still on the hook to pay for these kids, and we're going to pay more money sending them out than we would if we built great programming in-house. And I think
It's
You
like
know,
it's like paying rent instead of paying a mortgage, right? Like
it's
the
penny
rent
wise.
money, you're spending money elsewhere rather than spending money in your own, for your own resources in your own community.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't do it now, you're just kicking the can down the road, and your costs are going to go up astronomically in the future. And, there's no DESI data point that tells you what your future forecast is going to look like. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
We talk to families, we talk to teachers, we kind of get a sense of where are we at. And even if you look at national trends, every indicator points to the numbers are going up, the needs are rising. And I do think it is largely in part due to COVID, but we can't undo that. And it's no one's fault, but we just have to deal with it.
It's the situation. It's the cards we're dealt, right? Yeah.
So is there a plan for the next year or 2 or 3? I mean, so there's a transition happening, right? So we're looking at a new superintendent coming on. That was only a 2-year superintendent position. Looking back, do you have a plan of what you're hoping to accomplish this year, next year, the year after, and to kind of address these issues? It sounds like are the primary issues, or some of the primary issues, like the out of district students and.
Yeah, I mean, I think the
like
first
that.
thing we need to do is find out what the city's plan is. I mean, I haven't heard anything about who will be leading search effort. I know we have a lot of surrounding communities that are also shopping for superintendents. There's a lot of competition out there. And I think my personal worry is, how do we compete with them? I mean, at the moment, what are we offering? You have no budget to work with. You have really unhappy teachers.
No contract.
No contract. Like,
Right.
it's, I think we have to shore up some of those things. And I mean, personally, I don't see how we are going to be able to competitively recruit people and get somebody in place by the 1st of July. So that's my personal opinion. But I would love to start hearing some conversations within school committee around who's going to lead that process. What does the time frame look like? What is the search process going to look like? I don't know if any of you have ever sat on a search committee for the school district. I have. It's it feels sometimes like it's a foregone conclusion, or that there's not a lot of opportunity in the moment to weigh in. It's also very much geared towards people who work in schools. So it's not super inclusive to community members that are trying to contribute. I know a lot of people have talked about those things. I expect that they'll be brought up again in the search process. But, who's leading that process, and when are we going to start talking about those things?
Right. I don't know. I haven't heard anything myself either. So,
Yes.
and
but then once that starts, I mean, sure, the SEPAC definitely has some priorities that I think we would put out there, and we certainly want a superintendent who, appreciates the value of those tier 1 investments. So by that I mean the kind of special ed that goes to all the students. Sometimes they refer to it as the DCAP, or the district-wide accommodations. But those are things that save tons of money down the road. And they also spare kids a lot of frustration and self-shaming, right? Like, if you provide, for example, literacy, you give all students evidence-based instruction, then you don't have to pull them out of the classroom to give them evidence-based instruction with a special teacher. If you have one curriculum that works for all the kids, that is a really smart investment. There's reasons we haven't done it. It takes a lot of professional development. It's a lot of work. I think we have someone on our school committee, Dory, works in that field, and she's super knowledgeable, and I know she's doing a lot of work behind the scenes to advance that discussion.
Great.
But having a leader who values those things and is willing to do the hard work to see it through is super important. I think executive function curriculum is another thing that we would love to see implemented district-wide, like something that starts in kindergarten and then builds all the way through. I cannot tell you how many students have IEPs for things like organizational management, time management, just kind of not losing their head, the absent-minded professors and all those things. It's super common. It's almost like a personality profile at this point. I think it probably is. It's probably my profile. I haven't been on an IEP for
Yeah,
one
I
of
was
those
gonna
things.
say, I feel like that's valuable no matter where you are as a learner. I mean, those are life skills for
Absolutely.
everyone, for every student. And
Right.
it may stuff like that. It may come more easily for some than others at those really young ages. But it catches up to you as the work gets harder, and you find the students find themselves in middle school, high school, and then college. Like eventually, time management and organizational skills are something to be learned by everyone at just earlier rather than later, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone can benefit from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if your kid is a little bit more organized than the student next to them, they're not going to be harmed by learning.
Yeah, we'll have successful students across the board. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And to your point
Where
earlier,
do I sign up?
Yeah. And to your point earlier, if our system is designed to serve best our most vulnerable, then we all succeed.
Everyone gets to.
So it's we talked a little this morning about CPAC does a phenomenal job of working with parents of students that need to where the parents are the advocate for their own student, or the caretakers or caregivers advocate for their own student. But there's another side to you guys on the advocacy side, which is kind of your role as I see it. And we would like to be more helpful in that role with you or behind you. So if there are things that you need advocating,
well, I think mental health is the other
the best way we can help. Yeah.
Right. Like, and I think people forget this too, right? Schools are responsible for the whole child. So, it's not just reading, writing, and arithmetic anymore. It's making sure that you're growing up to be a healthy, responsible, contributing member of society in all ways.
Right.
If you're struggling socially, if you're too anxious to attend school, those become the school's financial responsibility. And, we can debate whether or not that's a great policy, if that's appropriate, but that's the reality. And there are a lot of unfunded mandates out there that have been kind of pushed onto the schools. And, coming out of this pandemic, the needs are so high, the schools just can't meet them. Right. So I think that there's advocacy to be done in terms of, schools need more money to address this issue. There's like a contemporaneous crisis, right? You have the school crisis, but then there's also a mental health crisis. And that is really impacting our schools in ways that I cannot even begin to describe in a succinct way. It's awful. Like just last week, I spoke to 2 different families who have high school students that are displaying suicidal ideation. They have medical diagnoses which dictate services be provided. We don't have the resources to help these kids. It's scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
And it's not an uncommon conversation.
So what is the best way for folks that are listening or watching to stay informed on the work that you're doing and how they can get more involved?
Yeah.
So we have a pretty active Facebook page. I fully admit that I have nothing to do with it. I'm not on social media. So Amanda and the rest of our board do a great job keeping that up to date. We do have a mailing list, and if you're not on it, I can I can drop into the chat in a minute our email, and you just email us and we add you to the list and you get our updates. We have a couple of events coming up. We're going to do a winter social at the Worklery a week from Thursday, so December 15th from 7 to 9. It's open to anyone. You can stop in and say hello, come have a drink or a snack. You can quietly tell us your problems, or you can talk to other people who have the same ones. We're going to try to launch parent support groups that evening. This is something that we've been trying to do for a long time. It's very hard to be all things to all people. So figuring out a way to connect people without trying to own all of that has been a little bit challenging. But we have created a directory that hopefully we can get people to populate. And thanks, Amanda.
Thanks, Amanda, and we love your profile picture.
Oh my gosh! If you'd like to know where to take your children out to eat, then please follow Amanda on social media. She finds the best restaurants. So,
Yeah.
Kim says she's going to be at the winter social, and she'll be picking brains. So watch out for her.
Watch out.
Bringing peppers.
And thanks. Shout out once again to Mel at the Worklery for providing this space to make these things happen.
Yes, Mel's awesome. And then we are also collaborating with the Commission on Disability and the Melrose Health and Wellness Coalition and the Melrose Ed Foundation to bring a 3-part series starting January 23rd, I believe. That's going to be about executive function. We're bringing in a speaker from Beyond Booksmart. So one of our board members, Erin Natali, organized it. And I think
her mom.
I know, look at mom. Erin made a really smart point. That, you go to a lot of these talks and you spend the whole hour defining the program and you leave there without any concrete tips and tools. Mm-hmm. So we thought if we broke it up, there would be more opportunity for those concrete tips and tools and suggestions. So, and I think executive function is something that extends far beyond just kids. There's plenty of adults who could use some help in that area, probably myself included. So we're excited to bring that. It's always a hot topic. Parent University has offered it in the past, and it's always, well attended.
Awesome.
Great.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, we are so grateful for all the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I just learned so much just now. Thank you so much.
And as I think the activity and events have increased quite a bit in the recent year or two with SEPAC, especially having to go online and everything. But we all benefit from the work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you. And
thanks for being here.
Thank you. And I hope that we get a teacher contract sorted out very
soon.
Yes.
I think many people agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, if I can just say one last thing about that, we are going to lose some really amazing teachers, and a lot of the people that we, were able to show appreciation to this past week. And I think it will be even more devastating to our community if we start to lose those people. Our parents are kind of holding on to them as life rafts right now. So I can't bear to think about what that would look like if we can't get this sorted out.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that. Wow.
Yeah. Good thoughts on the close.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
Well, thank you for having me. This is fun.
There's some music. Hold on a second.
Oh, yeah.
We were able
see you
to
around town, everybody. Thank you, Mary. Support our teachers.
Yep.